What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Batter's Eye and Around the Horn Season podcast. And we are welcomed by an amazing guest. This is something that we've been waiting to do for a long time. And we welcome in the assistant coach and recruiting director at LSU, Josh Jordan, the two-time national champion. In 3 years, he's had the number one, two, and three recruiting class at LSU. Quite an accomplished coach there. And thank you for your time. We appreciate you joining us today.
No, it's awesome getting a chance to talk baseball in general and more specifically LSU baseball. I said all the time to recruits and guys we're talking to about coming to LSU. There's no bad days at LSU. There's only good days and great days. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm excited to get a chance to talk baseball.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And without further ado, Nate.
So Coach, I want to start off with the national championships. You won two out of the last three. I want to know, what do you put into that play? Like, what do you believe and what do you instill in your players that make this program so much better, and what sets this program apart from all the other ones in the country?
Well, that's a really broad. There's a lot of reasons why this place is special and why winning two of the last three national championships happened. I think it always starts with great leadership. We have the best head coach in the country, and Jay Johnson. His attention to detail, his plan, his investment. I mean that coach. Nobody cares more about how a program is doing in the country than Jay Johnson does about LSU baseball. And so, and then I think we as assistants support him really well. We have a great coaching staff who equally has their own strengths and provides their own value to the leadership. And then ultimately players, great teams are led because our players led. And so, we've had great player leadership here. And guys, and back to 2023 and Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens, Kate Beloso, Gavin Dugas, Trey Morgan, the list goes on. And in 23, guys like Kate Anderson, Anthony Ianson, Luis Hernandez, who I work closely with as a catcher. And so honestly, it's just the investment of everybody in the program. That's the coaching staff, that's the players, and then it's this fan base. You're talking about a program that's, you look at the last 40 years, been to Omaha 20 times, and during that time won 8 national championships with 3 different coaches, and 2 of those coaches winning multiple national championships. That's an unprecedented level of success, and that's because I think there's something woven into the fabric here at LSU with the support and winning and knowing what it takes to get the ultimate prize.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I mean, it segues right into my next question. Like you said, the players are also a huge contributor, and that's what a lot of the people see that aren't delved into the game or deeply involved in it. And LSU has had the best of the best players in their program, especially over the last couple of years. And as a coach, how are you guys able to go in there and keep these guys level-headed and not necessarily, I mean, I don't want to say this and have it sound a negative way, but like keep them humbled in a way where you're going out there and some of these guys, I mean, especially on the high school level and some of the best of the best, even at the college level, don't really fail much. And when you face adversity, how do you keep them maintaining such a cool level head, stay poised, and keep radiating a culture that fans get to kind of feel watching this team play?
Well, one, we've been blessed to have high character individuals. That's something we try to be very intentional in recruiting. To me, character is a tool, and it's no different than arm strength, foot speed, ability to hit for power. It's to me kind of like that sixth tool, and you can recruit it. And so you start with the person first, and we've done a pretty good job of recruiting high character guys. And I listed all that leadership, all those guys. Some of them recruited, some of them I didn't, but the leadership and the character of those individuals is unmatched by anybody I've been around in college. But ultimately, too, like there's a sense of like gratitude, getting a chance to be part of this. I mean, these trophies behind me here, it's special to put on this jersey, special to put on this uniform, and have an opportunity to play in front of this fan base And I think there's a sense of gratitude by our players. And then ultimately, I think every guy we recruit here has aspirations of playing in the big leagues. And so we try as coaching staff, model high character, and then work day to day to keep them focused on the task at hand, and remind them of why they're here. And that's winning championships while developing to become a big leaguer. And so just reminding them, modeling the character after you're recruited is really important. And I think that has played a role in why guys have been able to maintain a level of focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about a coach perspective. I want to know what adjustments you have to make from going to the regular season to the postseason, or just playing in the SEC. Does that make that transition a little easier? Just how competitive it is.
Well, yeah, I think this league gets you prepared for postseason play. There's no question about it. The best teams in the country, the best players in the country, in my opinion, play in the SEC. And so when you look at our schedule, or anyone else's schedule in the SEC for that matter, you're playing a really, really good opponent every single weekend. And so when you roll into postseason play, you're just a little more calloused in terms of being able to handle adversity. You're not really going to see anything in postseason play that you hadn't seen yet.
Mhm.
And I think that's why this league also develops you best for professional baseball,
Yeah.
because you have an opportunity to uh, see the best arms in the country, face the best hitters in the country in this conference, and so ultimately that allows you one to be really prepared for postseason play and really prepared for professional baseball.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, just a follow up that I have, just because of, and we've seen it as fans and people that watch the game. I mean, the SEC has dominated college baseball in terms of who's winning national championships and the postseason success. And this is a very deep rooted question. There's a lot of reasons and answers to this, but what maybe the better way to word it is, what do these other conferences, I guess, lack against the SEC, and like how do year after year these teams from this league, which I understand it's amazing, and the MLB talent that gets pumped out of the SEC year after year is second to none, but even teams like the Florida States, the Clemsons, the UNCs, I mean, it seems like you get to the postseason and somewhat they flourish out, and I'm not sure why, but do you have maybe a thought to why maybe the SEC continues to succeed deeper into the year after year?
Well, I think I've been very fortunate in my coaching career. I've coached at every level, from the
Yeah,
junior college level now to the tip of the spear at LSU, and I can tell you at every single level that I've been at, there's really good players.
for
Um,
sure.
you know, Coach Charlie Blackman at Young Harris Junior College, pretty good big leaguer, and so um, there's really good players at every level. What allows teams from our league to do really well in postseason play, I think goes back to what we just talked about. Number one, and ultimately, we get a lot of teams in postseason play, so then it kind of a little bit becomes a numbers game.
Yeah.
Okay, our strength of schedule, the talent, the way we shape up in terms of the rest of the field, I think puts our league in a position to be really successful. And so I think it's not really one thing. I think it's just a matter of just how it has played out thus far recently. But there's really great players in every league at every level across the country. Made no mistake about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And moving forward, I just want to now I want to start talking a little bit more about transitioning into recruiting and just the balance between just being present in the in the locker room and on the field at practice every day and at games, but also having the dual responsibility to kind of manage a full recruiting class and go over and work with the scouts and talk with all the players and their parents and their agents, and especially with how complicated it's been now. And what is it like having that schedule, having the responsibilities? And I mean, I'm sure it's a lot, but
Yeah, well, ultimately, Coach Johnson says it best here. Everybody in our program has the responsibility of recruiting. And so what does that mean is obviously we share the workload in terms of communication and research and outlining the plan on how to, approach the process at any given point in time in the year. But in terms of me being focused and how do I separate that, I think number one is when the season rolls around, our best recruiting selling point is behind us here, and that's winning.
Mhm.
And so we focus on developing our players, and preparing them to be successful in the field. And so that's how we kind of create the balance. Every year, if we can put one of these trophies up on the shelf, that's a great recruiting tool. And
Gonna run
so
out of
you
space for shelf soon.
and so what you have
Dallas.
to do, yeah, what you have to do is just focus in the moment of the task at hand. And Coach Johnson says something that's really, really well said. He says it a lot, what's important now and making sure that we're focused on what we have to do and keep the main thing, which is what I talk a lot about with all of our players. And so is it, there's only 24 hours in a day. You have to prioritize your schedule and your timeline. But again, we've got great coaches here. I'm kind of just a traffic cop. We have great coaches who all bring strengths in the recruiting to the table, and so. But ultimately, it goes back to winning. Great players want to be part of programs that win,
Mhm.
and so our job is to coach our players, develop our players, make sure we continue to put hardware on the shelves.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
only way I could seemingly explain it to someone who doesn't know as much about the sport is it's like Saban's Bama. And he's just got a staff of powerhouse coaches that could all be head coaches at places and succeed. And you're
Yeah.
seeing it come together and just be a powerhouse dynasty. I love it.
Mhm.
And honestly, I do love it. I do. People are gonna hate it when I say that. People are gonna say they want the parody, but I really do love to see the success and the development that comes through there. I mean, it's great to watch from a you know true, like, I guess I would call it a hardcore fan.
Yeah, I'm about to say a fan perspective would be the
But
best way
Yeah,
to
well,
put it.
the college baseball right now is in the best position it's ever been in terms of having a product on the field that's really, really kind of looks good on TV per se, in terms of facilities and the athletes that we have out there at every level.
yeah,
And then ultimately in a great position now that I'm sending guys on professional baseball. And for goodness sakes, professional baseball is hiring college coaches to be managers
Mm.
at this point. And so, and not just from the SEC, a guy I know very well just hired to be, I think the single A manager for the Washington Nationals.
yeah,
That I worked with at Duke, and so Chris O'Neill, and so professional baseball is recognizing what's happening in college baseball, and so college baseball has never been in a better place than it is now. And we talk about parity and everything. I mean, we talked about the 2025 national championship. Well, Coastal Carolina is who we played for the national championship.
Mhm.
So, you can be at another place and put yourself in that position. Now, you have to be really, detailed in terms of how you go about it. But at the same time, again, there's really good players all throughout college baseball and guys that go on and have success both in playing side of it, but also in the coaching side of professional baseball.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. And speaking of Duke, you were recruiting there at Duke, and now you're at LSU. I want to know how is being at LSU with the resources and maybe like the history. How has that made recruiting easier from it being at Duke from now at LSU?
Or more
Well,
difficult.
Yeah, or more difficult.
we're recruiting at LSU. It's never easy
Yeah,
because you're recruiting against some of the best coaches and some of the best staffs and some of the best programs in the country, and so it's never easy. It's different,
Yeah.
for sure. And the niche here is a little different than the niche that I recruited to at Duke University. And so, but I love the environment that we get to talk to our recruits about here at LSU. The care that our fans and the administration and everyone here involved with the program has for LSU is really fun to be part of. And that's why when I had the opportunity to come and candidly had the opportunity to leave, I made the decision LSU is where I needed to be. And so from that standpoint, this is the best place in the country to play college baseball, no doubt about it.
Mhm.
yeah. And I mean, you talked a little bit about with just how things are changing and just obviously the opportunities that approach people, especially at LSU with, the brand, the history that they have. Just what changes over the past couple of years have you seen that, like, I guess, impacted the game in on the field, whether it's something that you guys have to do off the field, and that could be rules with the transfer portal and the way that now that's completely changed and how that has affected the on-field product in a positive way, because the last 3 to 4 years, I think every year the product on field has been getting better. A lot more people have been watching it. Whether it's amazing pitching performances. I mean, you just saw a no hitter out of Gage Wood in the College World Series, or you get amazing performances in seasons like with what Tommy White and Drew Burris have been doing as freshmen, and keep and continuing with what the talent that is in college baseball and the rule changes that have happened, allowing players to go to teams that allow them to develop and maximize their potential. Like, what how do you see that continues to impact the game at the biggest level?
Well, I think for me, it's visibility.
Hmm.
All the guys that you kind of alluded to right there, were playing on the biggest stage. And now with the presence of social media, and access that fans have in terms of players and knowing about them and so forth, I think it just is it's about marketing and you mentioned the brand of the player himself, and how that's changed in college athletics in the last 5 years. And
Yeah.
so you look at now, you like now at LSU, it's the biggest brand in college athletics. And again, the opportunity that our players have, in terms of visibility, development, competition, winning. This is a really good place, and so from that standpoint, our guys see it, and they want to maximize every single moment they get here at LSU because, you mentioned Tommy White. Heck, I threw BP to Tommy White just the other day out on the field. So, and he's living here in Baton Rouge. That's how much he loved it. And so, having the chance to be part of a program like this, it only helps our guys have a sense of gratitude and focus and development and into being what they want to be, which is ultimately a big league.
Yeah. And to kind of segue into the last question I want to ask before we go into rapid fire, I mean, we talked about some rule changes and some things that have gone on in the landscape of the sport. With that being said, there's still a lot being talked about and to come. Are there any things that are on the horizon that have already been kind of talked about that whether you think are going to be beneficial in a great way for the sport or that should maybe in a way be scrapped? Like, I don't know. That's something maybe can't speak about. I know.
No,
Just
I think honestly, one of the things that I personally want to kind of have an understanding of, and we'll see what happens, because I think it's been something that we've had to deal with, and a lot of programs in our league have had to deal with is, I think the CBA, coming December 1st of 2026 has an
yeah,
opportunity to affect the draft. And so, granted, we've kind of looked at recruiting with one way and one lens. Now, if that happens and that changes, things may change again. And so, in terms of what the draft looks like, in terms of retention of a recruiting class and the players that we at a place like LSU, who had so many guys drafted from our 2025 recruiting class.
yeah,
And so you look at it and go, okay, well, how's that going to affect us, and how do we focus and turn our attention? 'Cause for me, maybe it's my role, maybe it's the title, maybe it's in my DNA. I'm always going to think of things from a recruiting perspective,
yeah,
because ultimately it comes down to having really, really good players gives you an opportunity to win the ultimate prize. And so, from that standpoint, that's where my focus for me personally is like, hey, what's going to happen when that changes, and what changes are going to happen that are going to affect us in terms of recruiting. And so, that one will be interesting, I think, something to watch in 2026 as we turn the corner into the new year.
Mhm.
So just a question on that. Does that necessarily mean, obviously, with the uncertainty and people maybe thinking college would be the great, the idea, especially we've seen it now more often with the way NIL has worked. Does that mean necessarily adding more guys to the board and saying, hey, look, maybe we can maximize on the fact that a lot of guys might choose college over the draft? Or is it, you guys have the guys that you guys like the most out of the class and you really hone in on, like, hey, we really want you guys here for 2 to 3 years. You guys can contribute to a great winning culture. Like, does the strategy necessarily change? Obviously, LSU is always going to be up there in terms of the best recruiting classes and, in terms of where's this guy going to go if he's a top guy? And a lot of the times LSU is in the mix. But does this necessarily change that strategy?
No, I don't think it changes the strategy. It just comes down to now like roster management
Yeah.
and what the roster look like in future years, and does it provide more clarity, less clarity? Because right now it's very much a moving target. You just now in today's world, you just don't know just because there is so much money in professional baseball.
Yeah.
And that being said, I think the best place to develop, in my opinion, is it's college baseball.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
like I said, it goes back to what I said earlier. If we weren't doing things really, really well here, opportunities wouldn't be afforded to people that are being afforded to go on and to be a part of professional baseball. And
Yeah.
so I think to me that's validation that right now again college baseball is in the best place it's ever been.
Yeah, for sure. And it would be criminal to not ask one question about the transfer portal. So just we've talked to players about it, whether it's guys that have entered. I think the funniest story we got was Gavin Grahovac. When he said after the coaching change he entered and he didn't know the difference between the do not contact and just entering, and he said he entered and he was sitting for breakfast with his girlfriend, and
Yeah.
at 9:01 the day the portal, and like he had 10 calls instantly, like sitting at a diner with his girlfriend. And I just found that pretty funny. And I think something that, like, just especially with how the volume of guys entering and how it's all kind of starts at once, even though yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, you never truly know like when the recruiting is always going on, but when the portal opens, like what is that like? It just as a coach, the day that window opens, knowing you have 3 weeks to fill the holes that you guys want to fill, not knowing whether guys are going to go to the draft, sign, and just how is that whirlwind of 3 weeks?
Well, I'll go back. I don't know whether it's criminal that we don't mention it since you said that to start with. I thought that was pretty funny, but no. Honestly, for me, the transfer portal you look at and goes, what is it like? I tell people all the time, it's much like kind of sometimes coaching in the SEC is this way. Just because everybody's so good at what they do in this league, and you look at it, and sometimes I think the transfer portal that morning is kind of like when you think about being in college and you wake up late for class. Like it's a frantic pace because in the world of the transfer portal, one day is like 1 week
Yeah,
in terms of a traditional recruiting high school recruiting cycle. And so yeah, it's kind of like I guess that first day is a little bit like being late for class kind of feeling. Just because you're trying to be on top of everything everywhere all the time, and you just feel like you're playing catch up in that regard. And so but at the same time too, again, you as a coach are also at LSU in a place like you're in postseason play. You're making transfer portal calls in Omaha,
hmm,
and so forth. And so it goes back to just balancing it, like we talked about earlier. And you asking how you manage it. You manage the time. You get up early, you stay up late, and you try to manage and focus your time on what's you got to do at that particular moment to make sure the program and your responsibilities as an assistant coach are in a great position. Because you owe it to a great program like LSU to be on top of it.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's I like that answer. It encapsulates 3 weeks into a whirlwind, and I think there's truly no way to really explain it and describe it from a
You just
standpoint.
go. And I say this all the time. Like as young coaches come to me, I guess now that makes me feel old or makes me old. When young coaches come to you and ask about advice on recruiting and how do you do this and those things. And um, I say this all the time. Well, like recruiting is a lot like fishing. Just go. Like at some point, just you got to go. Like you got to cash. You got to get out there. You just got to. There's no like you get into it and you adjust, you adapt, you maneuver, and but that's what makes it fun. You know, it's not rigid. There's ultimately recruiting is always going to be more art than science. There's always going to be more fluidity in terms of what a recruiting cycle looks like because you're dealing with people. That's in people adjust. They make changes. They change their mind. They like certain things. They don't like certain things, and so you have to learn the person to be successful in recruiting. I
Yeah.
think so many times try to make it too logical and too much too science. Yeah, you want to be process oriented. Yeah, you want to be detailed in terms of having your knowledge and information and data and things you value in terms of making a decision. But it still goes back to the person and connection. And again, that's ultimately how you sell folks.
Yeah. Wow. Nate, we'll move into rapid fire, but before we do that, I just want to say, Nate, when we get a place and we start like filming in the studio, I think we have to have it part of the background. That's the best quote we've had. Recruiting is like fishing, you just got to go. I think like we got to put that on the wall and just have that quotes and
It is.
Yeah.
script.
It's just
Get the
some
decal
days.
for
Think
it.
about it. Like some days and again, we all have stories in college as college coaches.
Hmm.
And you alluded to like a great recruiting story. That's what makes it fun with the young man you mentioned. Just like you got to go. And sometimes, I would argue two of the best players I ever recruited, I found them not going to see them, going to see someone else. And so if I had not gone, they would have never crossed paths with that individual. And
Hmm.
so, or those individuals. And so you just got to go. Recruiting's like fishing. Got to go. Got to cash. Got to get out there. Got to yeah, try this bait. Try that. Try this. I mean, that's what it's like. People that try to make it too much like an Excel spreadsheet and too much like that, I just tend to think you don't really get the true essence of what you're trying to accomplish. And I think it goes back to it's you can have good players, doing a lot of different ways, but you're only going to have great teams, in my opinion, if you uh, really focus on the person.
Hmm.
Got it. All right.
Yeah. Do you do a
Nate,
lot of fishing outside of baseball? Or
I do. I love it.
yeah.
It's better than golfing. My golf game's terrible.
Hmm.
so is ours, so.
Yeah, ours is not good.
But I haven't been fishing in a very long time. If you have too many fishing photos as an assistant coach, no different than if you have a great golf game as an assistant coach, you're
Mm.
probably not going to be a great assistant coach very long.
Yeah.
But if you have a good golf game as a head coach, then it's a good thing.
Okay, I probably not a bad.
I don't know. I feel
You
like,
better have really good assistants.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like all head coaches just, I don't know. I feel like everyone's just good at golf. I don't know what it is. We'll see. Chris, when we were at regionals, Chris Pollard, we were talking about it with the players, and Pollard overheard one of the conversations I was having, and he goes, "Well, I outshot you guys by a good double while you guys were here." I was like, "Well, that makes me feel great," but yeah, got some time.
Yeah,
Well,
Coach Potter didn't golf a lot when I worked with him.
I think. Well, he said, or I don't know who.
Maybe he did. He just maybe didn't tell me. I don't know.
So maybe it was maybe it was one of his assistants, but it came from right around there. So I thought it came from Pollard. No, I was talking with Kyle Johnson about it because he said something when we posted out there. Oh, it was a rough day.
Kyle's a great recruiting story.
yes.
I haven't heard much about it, but I've spoke to him about getting him on the podcast. He wants to talk about it, so I'll let I'll once I get it, we'll touch base and I'll
Sure.
definitely, yeah. um, but we'll move into rapid fire, and now we'll make it fun. I want to talk about some of the top places to play at on the road. Um,
Okay.
just I don't know, some good atmosphere. So had some fun series, some fun moments. See what you have to say.
Okay. Just in terms of my favorite place to play on the road.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it definitely doesn't have to just be SEC. It could be
Yeah, for
anywhere.
sure. Obviously, a lot of really good places in the SEC. Mississippi State, great place to play, really fun. Arkansas is a great place to play, really, really fun. Had a chance to one of the probably the sneaky, really good atmospheres. And I'll say this is in 2019, part of the West Virginia Regional when I was an assistant at Duke. That series, Duke versus West Virginia, if you're really, really like a diehard college baseball fan, go back and watch Duke versus West Virginia in 2019. That place was rocking. The atmosphere was unbelievable. They did a really good job that weekend. Texas Tech and it's a tough place to play. It's just so different. We were there for super regional in my time at Duke. Just a combination of heat, fans,
Mhm.
the wind, Lubbock.
Yeah.
It was a fun place to play. So I say this: the atmospheres. There's no better sport, in my opinion, in the world than college baseball. Love it. And obviously, I love playing in front of our fans. I think we have an unbelievable atmosphere. I think this is an opportunity to be in a game here. I never take it for granted. Jogging out to third base, looking back at home plate, and seeing the grandstand and our passionate fans is a lot of fun, and never take that for granted. But yeah, a lot of fun places out there to play, and in this league, it's tough to go on the road and win baseball games,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that plays a role in it. Talent and atmospheres make it tough to play on the road here in the SEC. I think that's across the board in the SEC. Football, basketball,
Oh,
it's just everywhere.
yeah, and it's the best of the best, and in baseball especially, I think the last few years with the names that have come through the SEC, I mean the moments that you've seen in the SEC, it's been electric. It's become my favorite sport without a doubt, especially since covering it, watching it. I mean, I was telling Nate, as a Yankees fan, I usually get excited around the summer. It's postseason baseball time. I was burnt out after college.
Mhm.
I was getting to July. I was like, I don't even want to watch the Yankees.
Well, that's because the Yankees burned us out this year.
Well, yeah.
I'm a Yankees fan too, as I told you. So
Yeah. Yeah, it was a rough stretch at that point. And I was just like, all right, I'll take a little break. But it got back. We got back on the wagon for a bit.
don't
Mhm.
worry, 2026 going to be a great year for Yankees.
I'm excited. But before we let you go, I just want to ask one more thing. Give fans a preview into what this 2026 LSU team is going to look like, what the season is going to look like, and what can we all expect. I think it's like 60. I don't know if we're exactly 60. We're just under 60 days away, I think.
Just turned 60 days. Yeah, no. Honestly, I'm really excited about this team. I think our whole staff is. I think some of those guys that you saw that were in the nucleus of our team last year, guys like Derek Carrell, Stephen Milam, are going to be big contributors. We have some new faces that are in, uh, both from high school and from the transfer portal. Guys like Zach York, I think it's going to be a really fun bat to watch, and play a key role for us. And then ultimately, having some guys that have been here and been part of the program, maybe going to take a bigger step. And a guy like Kate Aaron Beatty, behind the plate for us, I think is going to have a really good year. Had a great fall, and excited to coach him and to
Yeah.
taking this next step in his development in terms of. I think we mentioned before we went kind of started recording and going on the air that young man I think hit 248, 242 last year, um, and did a really good job of catching Anthony Ianson. Now he's going
Yep.
to take a step forward, and then to compliment him is a guy like Omar Cerna, an unbelievable high school talent, power, and he's going to be a threat in the lineup for us, and be an asset behind the plate. And then on the mound, guys like Kason Evans, Maverick Rizzi, Cooper Williams, uh, and transfer guys, Cooper Moore. I like this team a lot. Really like where we're at. We're not there yet because those days when we come back from Christmas break are vital in terms of setting you up to get off to a great start.
Yeah.
But I know Coach Johnson has an unbelievable plan for that, and we're dialed in and ready. I know we got to get through the holidays here, but my mind's already turned to getting back out on the field with our guys,
Mhm.
and because it's the most enjoyable part of the job.
It's
Mhm.
24/7.
Yep.
Uh, how do we feel about our breakout player of the year, William Schmidt? It's our
Schmidt,
prediction.
good candidate. Yeah,
Good
Schmidt is a
candidate.
good candidate for that. Yes, he had an unbelievable fall.
I like it.
Mhm.
William Schmidt, yeah. Again, I know Maverick Rizzi, William Schmidt. I mean, again, you look down the list in terms of talent. I mean,
The depth
we're
is tremendous.
depth of Jake Brown, a guy
Mhm.
now his junior year is done an unbelievable job of leadership this fall for us.
Hmm.
And so I'm excited about kind of what this team has a chance to become.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was an honor to have you. We're gonna see you at least once in March, hopefully more. Nate will be seeing you at least a couple
Yeah, I'll
times
probably.
throughout the
Yeah.
season.
Yep, we'll see you opening day, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Nate will be
Um,
there.
for sure.
I'll be there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, happy holidays, guys. It's a pleasure
you as
being on
well.
here. I
Thank
always
you.
love talking baseball and appreciate all you do for the game, growing the game. And just, again, thanks a lot and happy
Mhm.
holidays.
That means a lot, Coach. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back soon. This will come out as a Christmas gift for you guys on December 26th, though, because no one's watching on Christmas. Be with your families. Enjoy it. Thank you, guys.